The Ashes, Sydney Test proved teams don't have to hate each other to produce brilliance. Say it softly, for some sensitive souls will object, but these have been the amiable Ashes. While Sydney provided the summer's hardest-fought test, and there was no faulting the endeavour on either side, the interactions of players remained visibly genial. Chit-chat around the bat, fraternization at breaks, meaningful congratulations, a healthy ration of smiles. Perhaps you haven't seen this written about, because it is breakdowns in conduct that tend to command column inches rather than the opposite, but it's been observable, and even appealing, like watching New Zealand play against New Zealand. The stump microphones have been subdued. The match referees have been underoccupied. The involvement of Australian umpires has caused no concern. David Warner has been too busy posting pictures of his beautiful daughters on Instagram to talk about working up hatred for his opponents. Nathan Lyon has been laughing with his old prospect clubmate Joe Root, rather than trying to end his career. It's been a subsidence of hostilities, surprising even in recent context. Generally, during most Australian summers, there is some unnecessary flare-up around Sydney, followed by a mix of macho apologetic and weary head-shaking. Players are a bit tetchy, looking for an edge, wearily disinhibited by back-to-back tests. Monkeygate, during which Australia's Andrew Symonds was allegedly the subject of racist abuse from India's Harbhajan Singh in 2008, set a template. Last summer it was Tim Payne providing a gratuitous character reference for Ravichandran Ashwin, dutifully transcribed from the stump mics by the attendant hack. Touring teams are often under the cosh and under pressure to manifest that they care, that they want it, that they're in the contest. That, in fact, was the advice to England from Michael Vaughan when he touched down before the Boxing Day test. It's too nice. I see on the morning of the game they are all talking to Mitchell Starc and Lyon. It's all a bit friendly. I'd get nasty with them. They somehow need to find that on day one. Get into the scrap. In fact, the only English scrap in Melbourne ended up being on the career heat. As often, Vaughan is adverting to his own career. In 2005, famously, he refashioned England in a tougher image. But that was in the face of a different, more naturally abrasive Australia. These Aussies are as smooth as Pat Cummins' shaven chin. In 2005, too, the teams were closely matched, striking sparks from each other, and full of outsized personalities. This series has not been a no contest, but it has hardly been close. How do you intimidate anyone from 3-0 down? Frankly, you can end up looking only foolish. You fare better by playing better. And, as would say, that's it. A further factor, one suspects, is the mutual sympathy that arises from this tour's hermetic circumstances. It has been, for all concerned, media included, a grind, shaded by protocols, a misdirected sneeze from calamity. There's a sense of being in this together that has not, perhaps, pertained in previous encounters. The captains, personable young men, are of a generation educated in mental health and the habits of empathy. The idea of turning on aggression as they cross a white line, as though opening a spigot, may strike them as fundamentally a bit performative and inauthentic. For a great many members of the public, furthermore, this is a bad time. Perhaps something tells the players, subconsciously, that the least they can do is look as if they're enjoying it. After a couple of seasons of open stump mics, they've assimilated their presence too. I won't pretend to have any insight into players' attitude. What I can say is that it has been a blessed relief not to be lumbered with opining about sledging, probably the subject in cricket most written about to least effect. Few contrasts over the years have amazed me more than that between the almost total indifference to the gross inequalities and dirty politics of modern cricket versus the righteous indignation when a cricketer says boo. It's satisfying, too, to have counter-evidence to the proposition, both pernicious and patronizing, that Australians can play well only when behaving boorishly. These things will always run in cycles and be susceptible to the influence of a few individuals. This game takes all sorts, as well it should. We can take it too far. We can take anything too far. Sooner or later, I dare say, we will be complaining of cricketers' blandness. But there was nothing bland about the Sydney Test. It featured some brilliant cricket. It was played in excellent spirit. It had a satisfying result. The spectators enjoyed it. The players enjoyed it. That's worth celebrating. The Australian. When Ashes series got heated, Clarke's health warning during the 2013-14 whitewash, Michael Clarke told James Anderson to get ready for a broken fing arm as the Thailander prepared to face Mitchell Johnson. Clarke was fined for using abusive language. Ponting throws tantrum. Ricky Ponting snapped during the 2005 Ashes after he was run out by Gary Pratt. As he walked off, Ponting swore in the direction of the home dressing room, accusing them of using a specialist substitute fielder. Warner lands early Ashes blow. Before the 2013 Ashes, David Warner took offense over Joe Root wearing an Australian wig on his chin, imitating, he thought, the bearded South Africa batsman Hashim Amla, and gave Root a blow on the jaw. Botham's barroom brawl. Ian Botham cornered Ian Chappell in a hotel bar in 1977, telling him to stop criticizing England before throwing a punch. The mutual dislike still exists, with Botham later saying of Chappell, "As a human being, he is a non-entity."